You may have grown up in a religious household and you were told that psychics are bad or evil. Or maybe you've been told that psychics are scammers, they're not prophetic, it's just a cover-up. Perhaps the biggest cover-up is, we are all psychic. 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 What's going on, everybody? My name is Carlos Santiago. Today, I'm going to enlighten the unenlightened. I'm going to break down the misconception about psychic abilities only being for a chosen few. Let's start with the rise of popularity of the Telepathy Tapes. If you are unaware, it is a collection of documented sessions showcasing psychic or ESP abilities in nonverbal autistic children. These sessions are recorded in a controlled environment with doctors and researchers. The results show how each of these autistic children and young adults possess something special, something powerful, something of our ancient past. These nonverbal kids exhibited extraordinary psychic abilities, such as mind reading and communicating with other nonverbal people telepathically. They can either see, hear, or feel what another person is thinking. Sure, this sounds like an impossible feat, but I assure you, it's not. I actually know people who can pick up other people's thoughts and can even recall someone else's dream from last month. Oftentimes, I feel like I live in a different world than everyone. But now this, autistic kids with psychic abilities? Sure, a lot of your favorite Christian preachers and influencers will say it's demonic, and these kids are probably possessed by demons. Just don't tell those religious folks that there is a spiritual chat room environment called The Hill, where these autistic people hang out, teach, and learn in, or they will really go after these kids. If religious and science folks can't explain it, they demonize it. Remember, religious people killed Jesus. So let me tell you a little bit how the brain works. I'm no neuroscientist, but I do know that if a person loses a certain sense, like sight for example, the portion of the brain that's allocated for vision gets repartitioned since it's not being used anymore. So another sense like hearing may get expanded upon. This is very common. Many blind people have extrasensory hearing or sense of smell. There's even a comic book hero based on this. Think about it. What is the intelligence that tells the brain, hey, we aren't using this part anymore, so let's move our resources to another area to help us out? It's quite fascinating. Our organs instinctively know what is best for us. Now back to the telepathy tapes. When these came out, there were a lot of skeptics, and there still are, rightfully so. I don't blame them. But we are conditioned to think less of ourselves, that we lack supernatural abilities. But if you look at the comments of the telepathy tapes, the podcasts, and videos, there are numerous people coming out and saying, hey, it's not just autistic people that can do this. I can do this too. And not just that, but some of the staff of the telepathy tapes are also nonverbal, and they can even hang out in the spiritual chat room of some of these autistic kids. Think of it as like a cloud server that you need Wi-Fi to access, except the Wi-Fi is essentially your consciousness and intention to enter the chat room. You don't even need to be in the same room or the same state. The chat room is something we can't scientifically explain, but it is located in a certain frequency of consciousness, and these nonverbal people help others locate that frequency of consciousness or spiritual plane, which ties into what I was saying before about losing senses. If a person loses one of the major senses or ability to speak, the brain reallocates those resources into boosting up one or more of their other senses. In this case, the nonverbals gained a heightened sense of conscious awareness and quote-unquote psychic abilities. It has long been thought that humans had ESP and psychic abilities since humans were created. It is just part of our DNA makeup that scientists have not fully understood how it works, but they know it works. I mean, even CIA teaches and recruits people with higher psychic abilities to carry out some of their tasks, like supposedly locating hidden relics like the Ark of the Covenant, locating terrorists in Afghanistan, or even stuff on Mars. This is a psychic ability known as remote viewing. If it is nonsense, why did the US government invest so much into it? So what I want to do today is go over the 9 human senses. I can argue 12 with proprioception, but for the purposes today, we'll just say 9 senses. Now, we all know about sight, hearing, smell, taste, or touch, but let's get into some lesser known talked about senses that we all have, Mind you, these are all God-given senses that all people have. You don't have to be activated by someone or pray to get these. We all have varying degrees of these. And when I'm discussing these, see which one of these extrasensory groups that you most closely align with. Let me start by saying that your brain is more than a physical mass in your head. It is an antenna. It can pick up, send, and receive information from whatever's happening around you, and perhaps even much further than that. There have been several studies and tests done from fascinating places like the HeartMath Institute. There have been studies done where equipment can pick up brain activity, and the probes and equipment aren't even touching the person's head. Since this is possible, maybe it means that our thoughts aren't really contained within our brain. Just like what the kids in the telepathy tapes have shown us, our thoughts are produced by our brain, but they are sent out in the spiritual realm or ether. And if you think about it, we aren't really the only ones with this ability. Some beekeepers can communicate with bees to calm them down by thinking of a hexagon. Even plant life and trees can communicate with each other. There have been studies done in the forest proving that trees and plants have their own Wi-Fi, the World Wide Web. They can even warn each other when predators are coming. They can even change how their fruit tastes to make them less desirable to critters roaming around. This may all sound crazy, but legit studies are out there. So if trees have their own Wi-Fi, why can't humans? But now I'm going to go over the 4 extrasensory receptors that all humans have. Let's start with clairvoyance, since this is the most popular of the extrasensory senses. This is also known as psychic vision. This sense allows you to see pictures, scenes, or symbolism about your life or someone else's past, present, or future. For an example, you can be driving, then all of a sudden you get an image or flash of a person that you know, and you see that they're in danger. This just pops in your head, usually pretty quickly, then it just fades away. Then later on, you found out that something bad happened to them, but you just happened to catch it in the spirit realm, or whatever dimension that time and events are stored in. Clairvoyants are what you typically see at psychic shops. Those visionary psychics specialize in this gift. People in the church with this predominant sense are known as seers or prophets. And as you already know, not everyone claiming to be a psychic or prophet actually has this gift or heightened sense. There are some scam artists out there. Although this is a God-given gift to excel in this area, most people don't realize it's a gift from God to help people. So they may use it for other purposes or even consult demons to get this gift and get caught up in the dark side of this. But this isn't the topic of this video. Next is clairaudience or psychic hearing. This sense allows you to hear non-physical sounds, voices, thoughts, or possibly other people's thoughts. This sense is often confused with the person's own thoughts because it operates through the same channel. This also explains why sometimes you hear people say, "I don't know why I had that thought come to my mind." It's because it's not their thought. You may also hear a voice in your head that is not your own, and it is telling you to do something or to go somewhere. This is usually for your greater good. Side note, if you hear voices in your head and they tell you to do something bad or something that's out of your character, that is not your intuition or a godly impression. Now that is actually a demon. Seek deliverance. Clairaudience also works in a different way. I'll tell you a personal story. Some years back, my relationship with my girlfriend had unexpectedly come to an end, and I couldn't get a clear answer as to what went wrong. She wouldn't come out directly and tell me what went wrong. I toiled incessantly for weeks. I was just frustrated. Then something unexpected happened. I woke up one day hearing the song Waterfalls by TLC. I thought someone in the house had the radio on. There was no radio on. So I thought, okay, maybe it's the neighbor. Then I realized the song isn't ending. It kept playing over and over and over. It wasn't loud, but it was there just under my thoughts. That song played all day, 24/7, for about 3 days. I was about to go see a doctor over it, which would have been a weird case to explain, that, but luckily the song went away. I didn't realize until years later when I understood how our intuition and symbolism works. The song was playing "Don't Keep Chasing Waterfalls" because I was chasing a waterfall. It was a pointless battle. Like, save your effort. See, this is why I'm making this video. People who have these signs and symptoms might think that they're just crazy because they don't have the language or relatable context to explain these things to other people. Most people don't understand that there is a higher level of intuition and intelligence working here for our greater good. Next is claircognizance, or psychic intuition. This is a gut feeling, an inner knowing. Call it your intuition, your guardian angel, Holy Spirit. You can't explain why, but you just know something to be true. Such as, you know when someone is lying to you. You don't even have to have the evidence. You just know. And later on, you find out to be right. Or you intuitively know you can be friends with someone, and to avoid someone else. You may intuitively choose certain paths to drive on, or dates to travel on, unknowingly avoiding a crash or some other negative event. You may have thoughts about someone you haven't spoken to in months or years, then you get a message from them all of a sudden. I personally have this happen a lot. Sometimes I'll get a text from someone and I'll know exactly who it's from and I haven't even checked my phone. Or someone will pop in my head, or I will dream about someone just to find out that something bad happened to them shortly after. I actually found out that my mother had cancer this way. I found out by a dream 2 weeks before my mom actually told me. And finally, we have clairsentience, or psychic feeling. People with this heightened sense are known as empaths. They have strong emotional awareness. They can sense other people's emotions. They can physically feel them. They have to be careful because they can easily get overloaded in a crowded environment. They can be excited one second, then angry the next because they're picking up other people's emotions around them. But this ability also makes them great friends because they can relate like no one else. But there is a downside to this. If this type of person doesn't realize that they have this heightened sense, they might think that they're crazy, or people around them might think they're crazy, since they don't know that they have this gift, and they aren't doing anything to train it or get it under control. Again, that's why I'm making this video, letting you know that you aren't crazy. Well, you might be, but not because of these extrasensory gifts. So as you can see, humans all possess traits and gifts what most people consider to be psychic. The difference is the people who lean into them are making themselves known by that title, like psychic or oracle this or prophet that. But technically, we all have these senses. The truth is, you don't need to see a psychic when you are the psychic. You don't need tarot cards read to you to determine your life. Oftentimes, the psychic person or card reader is just an empath, and they can feel your emotion and intuitively knows what you need to hear and what your best interests are. That's why when people get their cards read, they say, "Oh yeah, that's true," or "that happened." The card readers use a combination of intuition, street smarts, and knowing human nature, and sometimes capitalizing on it. Or in some cases, psychics and prophets can use demons or familiar spirits to forecast your future. But again, that's getting into the darker side of things. The moral of this video, trust your intuition. That's what it's there for. All of these gifts can be expanded upon. Just lean into the one that you operate the strongest in. For example, I'm strong in 3 out of the 4. The other one, I don't even really experience. But let me know which one you're the strongest in the comments below. And most importantly, what have you done with your gifts? A benefit of yourself and for others? Let me know. And depending on the response to this video, I may make a follow-up with more detail. I'll catch you next time.